throwing to him? I want to watch that again. I'm not sure
Questionable.
who he was throwing to there.
Now let's talk some Houston Rockets.
Okay.
After they built their team to beat the Warriors and then were eliminated by the Warriors in 4 of the last 5 postseasons, they're reportedly ready for wholesale roster changes. Like basically the whole roster is up for sale. According to reports, while a James Harden trade is extremely unlikely, everyone else is available on the market, including Chris Paul and Clint Capella. Nick, is this the right approach for Houston right now?
I mean, it's the only approach. And I want to preface my comments with this because I know people know I have a relationship with the general manager of the Rockets. I have not talked to Daryl since this report came out. So everything I say here is my own opinion and speculation and gut, nothing coming from Daryl. But as far as Harden goes, who would you trade Harden for? Giannis? Yeah. Steph? Sure. If Anthony Davis said I'd re-sign in New Orleans if you got me James Harden, then David Griffin would have a real question. Would I trade Zion? 7 years of Zion?
So you wouldn't trade straight up Anthony Davis for Harden?
I would not, because I don't think Anthony. You have Harden locked in for 4 years. You cannot trade in my
So if you
mind.
knew he was going to stay?
If you knew he was going to stay, I don't think I think I'd need more. I think Harden's better than Anthony Davis. Harden has proven more than Anthony Davis. We say Harden is not in the playoffs what he is in the regular season. We don't know what Anthony Davis is in the playoffs. You could trade Harden for Giannis, Steph, or Zion.
What about LeBron?
So that's a really interesting question. That would you, if you're the Rockets, if you're the Lakers, you would do it. Because you have Harden, he's younger, he has a year extra on his contract. If you're the Rockets, do you think that is enough of a change, and do you think you're getting enough of a return? To me, that's an interesting one, but I have been told there is a 0% chance the Lakers are trading LeBron James. So to me, that is something of a non-starter. The real question is, assuming Harden stays there, what can you get for the other guys? Clint Capella, I think, has real trade value. He just can't play against the Warriors, and if you can't play against the Warriors, you can't really play for the Rockets. Chris Paul has almost negative trade value. Like, someone put out a fake Chris Paul trade, and it's the only one that I think kind of made sense, like Andrew Wiggins and his awful contract and Robert Covington. That one, okay, maybe, but does that make you better, or are you just trading one tough contract for a younger player's tough contract? The Rockets are a little stuck. I'm a gambler. And the Rockets have gone all in. And sometimes you go all in with the nut flush and you're sure you've got it, and somebody has a straight flush and you lose. And the Rockets went all in with that Chris Paul trade, guaranteeing him the contract when they traded for him, thinking they could beat the Warriors last year. And they were this close and didn't. Thinking they could beat the Warriors this year. And they were that close and they didn't. And now you're in a spot where, how do you make this team better? No cap flexibility, not a lot of super tradable contracts other than Capella. I don't know what they do, but you got to do something.
With right now what's going on in the NBA, I would stabilize. I wouldn't even try to make a big offseason. I wouldn't try to do that. Last year, Daryl Morey, he knew he had some problems. He had a couple contracts that he didn't want to sign guys to, which would hurt the team as far as growing into the future. Those little role player guys, he was great at going out and picking out a couple guys. He can still do that. I think with the coaching, if they make some adjustments, if they listen to Chris Paul, if they create a little more variety to their offense, because we saw the most isolated teams in Harden and Giannis, both of them not have success in the playoffs. Why? They're talking about shoulders and elbows. Guys are packing the lane in the playoffs. Harden from deep, is that effective enough? Are the analytics strong enough that you can win a playoff game that way? Harden lost. Giannis lost by them packing the paint. So if I was them, I would just try to find a couple other little players. Golden State's not going to be Golden State. And I know they'll say, well, Golden State beat them without KD. Well, KD got them through 5 games almost, though. Could they have beaten Houston if they didn't have KD at the beginning? I don't think so. And I think that's the Warriors team they'll be facing next year. Why everyone else is maneuvering, don't know where Kawhi's going, don't know where KD's going. You know Golden State's going to be less next year. Stay the way you are. Depend upon your scouting department, which is one of the best. Don't make a mistake right now by overreacting. You're very, very close to the Warriors. You are the closest. Let's see Toronto, but you're the closest thing in the NBA to being able to knock off the Warriors. Stay that way. Rely on your scouting department. Get you a couple little pieces, players that aren't really expensive.
Don't you think that's the case? They came a hamstring away last year from beating them. They could have beaten him this year for a few minor tweaks. You're talking about a few small changes to this lineup as opposed to overhauling and basically starting from fresh. Don't you want to play this out a little bit longer if you don't think you can move Chris Paul?
All right, so that's one way to look at it. Another way to look at it is last year they had Golden State in an elimination game up 15 points and they lost. They then had them in an elimination game at home up 15 points and they lost. They then had Golden State on the ropes in a game that Kevin Durant got hurt and the Warriors were shell-shocked and they lost that fourth quarter. They then had them at home to extend their season, put Golden State, their first game of the playoffs, going into the game without KD, were the 7.5-point favorites. And they were never in control of that game and they lost. So I understand why it would be tough to tell the team, roll the ball back out there. Let's try it again. When this team has beaten your head in 4 of the last 5 years.
I don't believe it's that tough to tell the players because the players have seen the film. They've seen how close these series are. They know Golden State's not going to be where they are. These guys, man, let's have a good summer. Let's come back. We know that there was some type of conflict between Chris Paul and Harden. Be able to get that worked out. They're adding a couple new coaches to their coaching staff. What about adding a new wrinkle? All right, like what about playing some defense? All right, all those things are not lost on the rest of the teams in the NBA. When you get into the playoff, Houston has to be able to play at a higher level defensively. That's one thing that they have missed out on. Add that part from a consistent standpoint, and you might have something because you're right there knocking on the door. The most successful teams have gone through exactly what they're going through right now before they were able to break through.
I want to get back to something you brought up a little bit earlier, and that's the possibility of the Lakers being involved in this. Would the Lakers be crazy to trade for Chris Paul in that contract?
I think they'd be crazy. I think that now I'm sure Daryl is trying to, my guess is Daryl let it be out there that Harden could be available to get people to, this is the old bring someone on the car lot to see this car, and it's like, well, actually, I got this one for you. Like people maybe call about Harden. He's like, well, I've got a great late model Chris Paul to tell you about. There aren't teams right now I look at that would say we're a Chris Paul away. We can fit in his $40 million.
Ooh. And
the Lakers, I think if the Lakers really want to, they will be able to trade for Bradley Beal. I think he's a better option than Chris Paul.
Absolutely.
The Lakers signing a free agent with their cap space and keeping their young players is a better option than Chris Paul. Chris Paul is a first ballot, no doubt Hall of Famer, one of the 8 greatest point guards in the history of the league.
But he's
35. He's not done. I don't think he's done. But he is not.
He's done being the co-star.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Can he be a 3 on a team?
Yeah, but you're paying him $40 million.
That's the problem.
Over the next 3. Not next 1. Not the next 2.
Wow.
100. I mean, he is making some serious cash.
The Yankees years ago consigned Mark Teixeira like he's the best player in the league and have him be the 4th best player on the team because there's no salary cap.
Sure.
When you're in a league with a salary cap and Chris Paul's going to make upwards of $40 million, it's tough to. So yeah, he'll call Jeannie Buss and Rob Pelinka and try to wheel and deal there. And hey, LeBron's always want to play with Chris. But I don't see that happening. And the Kings, the team that everyone's relied on for years to take on bad deals, they know they have De'Aaron Fox, so that you can't even trick the Kings anymore into taking your players. So I don't know. I think Chris Paul's going to be a Rocket moving forward. Clint Capella could get moved. He has real trade values on a legitimate contract, and if he doesn't get moved, though, his job is, to your point, C, be the difference next year. Improve, develop a post move, and become more playable against Golden State.
I keep saying it. It's going to be such a fun offseason this year to see all the moves. Take a break. Coming up, how much of Kevin Durant's legacy is on the line?